Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here, this time reviewing on issue 2 of The Ultimates 3. Now, as you know, The Ultimates 3 was a 5-issue series that of course was written by Jeff Loeb that would set up the starting point to the Ultimatum, changing the Ultimate Universe forever and going with a much more darker, more serious and more realistic route. And if you remember 2 or 3 years ago, I did review issue 1. I've had issue 2 for some time, finally got down to reading it, so let's get on with the story. It starts off with Spider-Man saying, bad enough I went out this morning to school without a jacket. Who knew I was going to need thermal underpants? So of course there's been a radio dispatch about a woman being gunned down, and Ultimate Peter thinks it's obviously meant to be Aunt May, but ends up getting shot, ends up falling behind some bushes, and comes face to face with Ultimate Hawkeye, with obviously Ultimate Peter saying, "You shot me, you screwball!" And we kind of see how obviously he's trying to make sense of why Ultimate Hawkeye has gone crazy, and even saying, or maybe it's all an act to mess with you. I get it, you got problems. And you kind of think Ultimate Peter would actually show some sympathy towards Ultimate Hawkeye, given what happened in Ultimates 2. And yeah, this just makes Ultimate Peter look like a bit of an uncaring monster. But we even see how Ultimate Hawkeye is trying to find Ultimate Venom, and even points out that he happens to be linked to him and wants to find out where he is. But Ultimate Spider-Man obviously webs up Ultimate Hawkeye, and of course gets tranquilized, and even saying that how he was looking for Ultimate Black Panther and that. But we even see how Ultimate Captain America stops him before making a mistake, and they need to head back to the base promptly, and ultimately, leaving Ultimate Peter behind to freeze to death. And we see how Ultimate Quicksilver busts through the Ultimate Mansion. We kind of see how he points out his sister's now dead. And we kind of see how Ultimate Wasp does try to get Ultimate Quicksilver to see reason, and him saying, "My father was right. This never would have happened if we had stayed with the Brotherhood." You're upset. The Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. You don't know what you're saying. But of course, even Ultimate Quicksilver knows something is going to happen. We see how the other members are dealing with their needs and problems until, the Ultimate Brotherhood show up with Ultimate Mystique, Sabretooth, Blob, L'Oreal, as well as Medrock. And of course, we see how Tony Stark is still dealing with what happened with Natasha. Of course, the videotape being leaked online, and sees her, but right away it's Mystique playing on his emotions, and Ultimate Wasp trying to get Ultimate Tony to suit up if he is sober enough. We see how Ultimate Valkyrie and Thor get ready to kind of get into action, but L'Oreal playing with her emotions, as well as Thor's, and tries to take her on. And of course even says, "I couldn't chop her head off." And we see how Ultimate Blob saying, "I would have given for a nice cottage cheese right now." And we see how Ultimate Wasp shows up to insult Ultimate Blob and says, "Wasp, gonna eat you up." And of course, Ultimate Iron Man shows up in his armor and throws Ultimate Blob up into the sky. And we see how Ultimate Cap and Ultimate Hawkeye deal with the other Madrocks until Ultimate Sabretooth shows up to help deal with the problem, and they both mainly duke it out. And even Ultimate Cap saying, "Using language like that, Creed, is what is tearing apart our moral fabric of this country. If there had been a lady present, I'd make it so you'd never utter a word again." And we see how Ultimate Hawkeye obviously still deals with the other Medrock clones. And we kind of see how Ultimate Magneto shows up to meet up with his son. And even saying, Now is the time to be with family. Family? I'm your son, and you shut off my kneecaps. You healed, Wanda will not. And we see how they have to obviously join forces after what happened to Ultimate Scarlet Witch. And after Quicksilver gets all of the Brotherhood away, we see how they end up hearing a voice, and turns out it's Ultimate Wolverine saying, "You got a bigger problem on your hands," and setting up the story for issue 3. And this was pretty much issue 2. So I think this one is kind of okay, but of course it's suffering with a weaker storyline, obviously going with whatever character they can suit up for the whole Ultimate Brotherhood of Mutants, and kind of using the Ultimates as the starting point to the Ultimatum, leaving a lackluster, okay, and kind of fairly good storyline. Not the best, not the greatest, but it definitely deserves a thumbs down. Not the greatest, not the best, despite its weak amateur storyline. So, comic book reviewer here, signing out.